on Linkage Radio 104.5, 101.7, Sun FM 88.9, Fever FM 97.7. For those of you who'd like to be a part of the show, you may log on to Linkage Radio on YouTube. Type in Linkage Radio on the YouTube stream and you'll catch the show there, as well as those of you who are friends of mine and friends of Chris Whilby and you'd like to view us live. You may go to Lady D, Denise Gomez, and you'll see me there. Chris Whilby, are we planning to merge this evening, or you're just going to be Chris, you can set it up as a watch party, you know. You can share, you can share from your page and do it as a watch party.
All right.
That's lesson number what?
Lesson number 101.
Right. Good afternoon to Hubert, Christy. Hubert, how are you? Welcome. You may share on your pages. We're going to be talking about news across. Okay. Oh, you want
All right. I'm going to send you that request.
Yes. So let's see what will happen here. Welcome, everybody. It's always good to have discussions on Monday when we're talking about news, local, regional, international news. And for those of you who are news enthusiasts, you just can't help yourself. You're locked on to all the major networks and all the community networks, wanting to know what's happening in the world today. No matter what, I don't know who you are, what you do, but it's important to be kept in the know. Even if we're heavenly minded, we still have to be some kind of earthly good. Right, Chris? You never know. If something is going to happen, you need to know. Don't be like me when Gilbert was coming and I paid no attention. I got up in the morning getting ready for work.
Were you like one of those people who wanted to see storm?
No. Every time I tell people that, no matter what level of intellectualism you are at some point you're going to do something and somebody will have to say, what? I'm telling you. I can't explain it, but it did happen. So, all right, Chris, as always, are you ready? Did you share?
I sent a request. I don't know, did you see?
I'm doing the broadcast from my phone, so I'm going to my laptop.
All right.
So.
And we can share it as a watch party too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to say good evening to all the people on Facebook Live. Paul Harrison. I see Paul from over there in Canada, my cousin Paul, and I see a very special lady there, Yvette Whilby.
Of course.
On too, so. All right, so welcome everybody, welcome to the show. I want to start off, Lady D, with something out of Jamaica. We touched base, we've been seeing it on social media for the past couple of weeks, I think, where a young man was shot by the police. Now there's a little update here on that. The Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators is arguing that the bus driver who recently attacked a policeman in Spalding, Clarendon, did so as a result of mental stress.
Oh.
Quote, we would like to state without any fear of contradiction that any such attack on any person, especially in this case, an armed enforcement officer of the state, is a sign of mental illness. End quote. The J2 said in a release addressing the issue. The group argued that public transportation operators have had to face constant pressure by the authorities to include, one, have had our vehicles towed for minor infraction. 2, not giving a list of offenses that will result in your vehicle being towed by the state. 3, we have had excessive fines imposed on us. 4, we have had our business relegated to unprofitable areas, i.e. allowing the JUTCs to operate on special routes. And 5, license fees are increased by over 400% with less than 6 months notice. 6, the sector is not provided with properly trained drivers. 7, we are promised revenue protection. It still remains a promise. 8, we are promised effective action against robot operators and extortionists. This has become a joke by Transport Authority. This bus operator in Spalding was arguing with a police officer about taking his bus for a minor infraction. J2 said, while admitting that the bus operator was wrong to attack the policeman.
Yes, he was wrong. I mean, when you look at it, there was such aggression that you thought that you were in primary school. It was bad. I know that people are disgruntled. I know that, you know, the system is messed up. I know that there are days when they go out and, you know, they don't go back home with anything much. Right? So there are a lot of things surrounding that. But he had no right to chuck, as we use that term. Shove.
Officer, right? That's true.
He doesn't have that right. You're talking about a law enforcement officer. And the gentleman had to use his firearm, which I'm sure he didn't want to do. But the crowd also started to zoom in on him. And we know how our people can get. And not only our people alone, but there are people who, once they become disorderly, there is no turning back. They could have inflicted a bodily harm on the officer. You know, it's a lot of things to consider. So I am sorry for what has taken place, but he had no right. Under duress, was he diagnosed?
No, I think he's in the hospital. They say he's lucky to be alive.
Yeah, because I heard several shots there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of the most vicious attacks I've seen on a police officer. I often hear police officers speak about getting attacked and stuff like that. And normally people tend to not believe that the officers are being attacked because it's hard to believe that a person is going to attack a police officer with a gun. I believe that this incident has opened up a whole can of worms, so to speak, because people are now thinking, and I've heard a lot of people now starting to wonder if some of these stories that the police officers told, and I have been telling, true, where people would attack them and they have to defend themselves, because if this guy was attacking the police officer so violently. And again, there was this other video that came out of a quote-unquote eyewitness who was telling a completely different story from what everybody else saw on the video. So then again, it begs to wonder. Some of these so-called eyewitnesses that we've been seeing and hearing over the years, telling stories that contradict the police officer's event. You know, what is it? You know, because this guy it's like he didn't even see.
He didn't hesitate.
What happened.
But, you know, we know that people make up stories a lot. There's a lot of collusion in, you know, people coming together to build a story against officers or against just anybody else. But Paul just says that police officers are trained to use deadly force if they feel their life is threatened. That means that their gun will be aimed squarely at your chest area or your heart. Yeah. Good afternoon to all those who are on our Facebook Live this evening. We're discussing the news, ladies and gentlemen. It's news right here on Inside the Zone, keeping you in the know with news, happenings, and facts. The show is brought to you by Cooler Runnings Jamaican Restaurant. Did you have an additional point that you wanted to mention in this topic?
No, that's pretty much it, in a nutshell.
Okay, in a nutshell. All right. Okay, let's go to a headline here. PNP concerned violent attacks against elected officials on the increase, shocked at killing of former councillor. Another person was shot. And I'd like to bring you in the know. For those of you who were not aware, I'd like to read the headline for you. The opposition People's National Party, the PNP, is expressing concern that the government has decided to reduce or withdraw the security detail assigned to former ministers of government amid what is said is an increase in attacks or threats against elected officials in the country. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson said in a media release today, and I quote, "It is particularly troubling that while we are experiencing vicious attacks on our elected or former elected officials and heightened level of threats, the government has proposed to withdraw or minimize the security detail of former ministers of government." End of quote. The concern of the opposition party comes in the wake of the killing of one of its former councillors. The PNP president, Dr. Peter Phillips, this morning expressed shock and sadness at the killing of former councillor for the White Horses Division in St. Thomas, Madge Morris. Dr. Robinson said, "This morning's sad news is particularly shocking as the party continues in mourning over the tragic death of our comrade and colleague, Dr. Linville Bloomfield, Member of Parliament for East Portland, who was murdered over a week ago at his home." According to PNP General Secretary, the news of the former councillor killing has compounded the dampened spirit and sorrow among the entire membership of the organization, who are preoccupied with the burial arrangement of Dr. Bloomfield. He said although she was not presently serving in the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation, she maintained her activism by serving the people of her community and parish through voluntary efforts. So, he is concerned that all the former public officials are now not being given any security detail, and that is concerning to him. I was a little shocked when I heard about the St. Thomas killing here. Well, how do you feel about that, Chris?
I'm a little bit perturbed as to what's going on, but I hear a lot of people are speculating if these killings are politically motivated. Now, there isn't really any information to suggest that that is the case.
Yes.
So we have to await the investigations, and I hope that these investigations will they will speed it up, and they will save no they will leave no stone unturned.
Yes.
To bring these guys
to
justice, these killers. It is heartrending. And I am from St. Thomas. I don't know the lady in particular, but I know the area very well. And I am heartbroken when I heard what happened to this lady. And I really do hope that the killer is brought to justice very soon.
Yes.
You know, and we want to see the speculation as to what caused these things. But we're with the bodyguard issue and the protection. I don't know if it is really feasible for people at that level, to be honest with you, like the counselor level. I am not sure that it is feasible to have protection for these people.
Yes.
After they leave office. I believe that during their time in office, they should definitely have protection.
Yes.
And what probably can happen is they can increase their salaries so that they will be well paid, so as to afford them the opportunity after leaving office, so that they can hire private security for their own protection after that. That's my opinion on the subject.
Oh, so then you're saying that while they're in office, they should be paid a certain amount of salary, so that after they leave office, they will still be able to maintain security.
Right. So that the government wouldn't have to bear that burden of protecting them after they leave office. But the government should protect them while they are in office.
So, but Chris, usually, I know that how people think. When you're in office and the going is good, you take up all that you can. You gobble it up, literally, right?
Yeah.
It is not likely, I don't think, unless these, you see, if it were monies that were taken out, put aside, not by you, not by the councillor nor anybody at all, where this money is just set aside. But if it's dependent on that individual to put that money aside to secure themselves until after they come out, I don't know about that. Because usually if they get that money, it's not going to be used for that purpose. They are going to use it.
And that's not exactly how I am envisioning it. I'm just saying that they should be paid well enough so that not necessarily because or money should be set aside for them to use for their protection, but they should be paid well enough so that they have money to protect themselves after. So this money wouldn't be coming from the government to protect them, but it would be coming from their savings, their own salary, because they are well paid. You know what I mean? So that they can hire their own security detail to protect themselves.
And I hear you. I just know that, again, that kind of discipline.
Well, I mean, if you see, the government is not going to be able to do everything, you know.
Oh, no.
Saying that if the government is paying you well, and if you don't want to make that kind of sacrifice to protect yourself, I mean, then it's up to you.
Right.
You know, if you can't have that discipline to know that, okay, the government is paying me well enough so that I can set something aside to protect myself after leaving office, then, I mean, there's nothing else that the government can do. But right now, I am not sure that the government is paying these councillors enough. I know that the members of parliament, they are getting a decent salary, but these councillors, I'm not sure that they are paid enough to do that.
All right. Next headline. And good afternoon to all who are listening to us this afternoon. If you'd like to make your comments, please dial 914-600-4228. 914-600-4228, and we'll be too happy to have a conversation with you. 914-600-4228. Next headline, Chris.
The community is in shock. the stolen baby.
Oh, yes.
This headline here is from the stolen baby saga, I have to call it.
Yes.
So this headline here says, community shocked stolen baby lived among them. Residents of a rural St. Catherine community say they are shocked and depressed that a member of their small, close-knit area has been in the news for child stealing. The woman was into custody by the Central Village Police Station last Tuesday after she turned up at the Registrar General's Department, the RGD, to register a child. Subsequent DNA tests proved the child was the one snatched from the Victoria Jubilee Hospital on January 9th. She remains in police custody. One resident told the Star she was pregnant, so it was not surprising to see her with a baby up here.
Oh.
I can't believe that it was the stolen baby.
Let us acknowledge our caller online. Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon to you.
Is this Link's Gospel Radio Station?
This is Linkage Radio. How may I help you? My name is Lady D.
Let me see. I'm just trying to find Minister. What is his name again?
Okay, I think you have the wrong program at this time. You have the wrong
Okay.
program, okay?
Say what?
You have the wrong program right now.
Okay, well I will listen to you because I'm hearing is it Jamaica station?
No, we're right here in New York.
Oh, okay. You pick up Jamaica News
Well, where are you calling from?
from New York.
Right, so we are broadcasting right here in New York, so you are listening to us.
Oh, okay, all right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
you're welcome.
I will continue.
All right, never mind, I clicked before she ended. My apologies. All right, so Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
so here we are with this stolen baby matter here, because which they also are presuming that it's some kind of a ring going on. If this young woman was pregnant, no, I had to say to myself, okay, so she turned up now to go get the baby registered. But if she was pregnant, so the registration part is what got it, right? Took us to this point, having a discussion. But if she was pregnant and something went wrong, she's not pregnant again, I guess nobody was seeing her in the community for some time to have determined that, no baby didn't come forth. She didn't have a baby, so who knows? She was undercover, right? She mapped out her plan pretty well. I must give, though, we all must give kudos, props, give them great commendation for having picked up on something that just was not in keeping with somebody presenting themselves with a baby to register.
Yes.
I guess she was fumbling, maybe she was nervous, maybe questions she was asked, she couldn't answer, that kind of thing. That would have sparked that kind of observation for them to say, hold on, this might just be the baby. Was there a photograph? You never know. Maybe they've been eyeing everybody who came in, because the news has not given us anything in great detail, right?
Right.
But I thought that the father was more over the hill than mommy was. I mean, he's the one you saw in the photographs and the pictures and something. Photographs and videos and something.
Got a chance to see that baby,
Yes, he didn't.
Mother had the baby for a few hours before it was stolen.
Abducted, yes.
But never got a chance to see that baby at all. Which kind of brought me to something that I was discussing the other day amongst my peers. It is time that we in Jamaica take a look at how we do things. In Jamaica, men are not allowed to go on the ward
Yes.
to see their children being born. and it's kind of a little bit backward. You're not even allowed on the ward at all. You know, you check it, that your wife in or your girlfriend or whatever, and then they just shoo you off the ward. You know, you have to hurry up and come off the ward.
Yes, you're not permitted to go beyond a certain
Exactly,
point. But
and I think
yes.
you know, just kind of expanding the discussion just a little bit here. I think that is one of the reasons why some men don't understand what women go through during childbirth, because they only hear, most of Jamaican men only hear and imagine what women go through. They are never in the delivery room to see the actual delivery.
Yes. So they don't know, they really don't know what
so
the actual birth is like.
I think we as Jamaicans need to look at the authority. They need to change up the whole system, you know, and stop the nonsense about men can't be on the ward. We're all grown people. You know,
of course.
The ward because this, and you can't be on the ward because that. So sometimes the men, they drop off the women at the hospital, and then they go home, and if the woman is in the hospital for 3-4 days, they don't see the baby. You know, it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, they actually do see the baby by coming, you know, nurse might take the baby up to the window in the nursery area, but that might be about it, or if baby's with her on in her room, you know. Yes, but for the actual birthing process, they're not allowed. They're not there. All right.
Yeah.
Once again, let's quote the telephone number for them: 914-600-4228. 914-600-4228. Let's hear your version of all of these headlines that we are presenting to you. Chris, did you hear about this 27-year-old man, Indian man, plans to sue his parents for giving birth to him without his consent?
Go ahead, please.
All right, so we just laugh out the first part. Ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully. A 27-year-old Indian man plans to sue his parents for giving birth to him without his consent. Okay. Mumbai businessman Raphael Samuel told the BBC that it's wrong to bring children into the world because they then have to put up with lifelong suffering. Mr. Samuel, of course, understands that our consent can't be sought before we are born, but insists that it was not our decision to be born. So as we didn't ask to be born, we should be paid for the rest of our lives to live, he argues. A demand like this could cause a rift within any family, but Mr. Samuel says he gets along very well with his parents, both of whom are lawyers, and they appear to be dealing with it with a lot of humor. And they might as well, because they know not coming of this thing. In a statement, his mother, Kavita Karnad Samuel, explained her response to the recent upheaval my son has created. She says, I must admire my son's temerity to want to take his parents to court, knowing both of us are lawyers. And if Raphael could come up with a rational explanation as to how we could have sought his consent to be born, I will accept my fault, she said. Mr. Samuel's belief is rooted in what's called antinatalism, a philosophy that argues that life is so full of misery that people should stop procreating immediately. What a nonsense.
You know,
when I read it, I said, Master, you'll be ahead of us.
You know what, lady? I am going to surprise a lot of people here because I am in total agreement with that young man.
All right, let me hear your take.
I am in total agreement with that young man. And here is my point. I know that it is not a very common what do you call it, topic that people are going to agree with. But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
What if you, for argument's sake, you do not want to be here, you do not want to be in this life. You were brought here by your parents. Nobody, I mean, it is impossible. We all know that it is impossible to consult and ask your permission to be here. However, the fact that somebody took it upon themselves to decide to bring you into this world without your consent, which nobody could ask. But then again, once you come into this world, you come into a world of bondage. It's like a prison you come into. You're not really free. So they bring you into a system where you're not free. They start to dictate to you from an early age what to do, what not to do. You have to go to school. You have to come up. You have to get a job. You have to. So you are not free. They bring you here, and then they dictate what you do, how you live. Society on a whole have this idea of how you should live. And if you do not want to be here, there is nothing that you can do.
All right. So
I'm saying that if this guy, if there are some consequences to people, not to people who have children, like for example, somebody who they would go and have 4 or 5 children and they can't take care of the 4 or the 5 children. If some of those children would sue them, then there would be this consequence that people know that they are going to have to bear.
Okay, so
that they would start thinking of, you know what? If there was a law that if I bring a certain amount of children into this world and I can't take care of them, or I am going to have to take care of them, so to speak, until they die, a lot of us would stop going around and having children that we cannot take care of. So in a sense, I kind of understand where the guy is going. I mean, most people are not going to agree with him, but I kind of agree with him.
All right. So once again, good afternoon. Paul is asking for the telephone number again, 914-600-4228. I just typed it there on our message thing going on there, 914-600-4228. Now, here is my thing. Okay. All right, people, give me one moment. All right, so you may give me a call back. Chris? Okay, I think he got bumped off. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Denise.
Good afternoon, Gloria.
And good afternoon, Mr. Whilby.
He got kicked off just now, my dear.
Yeah, when he comes back, please tell him I said hello. What I'm saying, yes, there's a lot of us parents that we go over the boundary that we can manage. And for those children, we can't take care of that.
No, keep talking.
That is not good. But my parents were poor, but I wouldn't give up my mom for any other mother in the world.
Right.
My mom was such a good mom. My mom died, and I still love my mom.
One moment, Gloria. Chris? Hello?
Hello?
Paul?
Hi.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. All right, Gloria, go ahead, because Chris is going to call back, so I'm going to need to release the line. So finish your thought.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Some parents go overboard, yes, what they can't manage.
Right.
And they should have some sort of counseling or something for those parents.
Yes.
But I am saying my mother had me, and I'm the last one. And I would give her up for nothing in this world, although she had not. I had the best mother in the world.
Right.
so.
Okay.
Some people really they want to, cut down or rethink or get some counseling before they have.
All right. I
their
see
own
Chris
children.
calling me back. All right, my love. Thank you. Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
my apologies. Paul is also on the other line.
Okay.
Paul?
Getting this.
Hi. Is it okay to speak now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Hi, Paul. How are you today?
Not bad, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Okay. Lots to, I can see, okay? Number one, I'm going to start with number two. Okay? To be able to see your parents. I can see if your parents are going through hardship.
Me too.
They have no means of providing for you,
Me too.
but you're going to have kids.
Yes.
So that's a logical suit.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to consult with an unborn child is impossible. But as you come into the world, right, in a family that is a well-to-do family, and you sit around and complain about you're going to see your parents because they had no right to bring you to this world. To me, that is a sign of a lazy child that does not want to live up to his expectations because his parents are professionals, and he feels the pressure, right? So that is, to me, that's where he comes from, and he's hiding that. But that's what it is. The kid is just a lazy kid that just don't want to perform.
If you ask me, that's the same thing I thought. Because I don't think it's a case where his parents are not treating him well, separate and apart from their level of professionalism. They're both attorneys. I don't think they have a thing.
His parents really treated him well.
I think he's just selfish.
Mhm.
I think he's selfish.
He's a spoiled brat.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I think.
He's fortunate. He should be going to church and thanking God.
Right, into privilege.
What no, Paul?
Yeah, go ahead. For why?
What no? What should he be thanking God for?
It's not questioning the world that the world's a cruel place. That's not the question. I agree that it is.
He said he didn't want to be in this world.
Yeah, but
So
then
why should he thank God to be in a place where he did not want to be in?
well, here what?
I never said to
Not
be
appreciative
thankful
of the fact
in the world.
of
To
the
be thankful that the world is a social world.
All right, okay, you're talking over each other, so we need some. Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, finish your thought, Paul.
Okay, so to me, why I'm against what he's doing is because he's not in touch with what's going on in the world. He's not seeing what's going on. Your parents didn't bring you here as a punishment to you. They wanted a loving child, a child to love, right? And they had the means to look after you and to love you. Okay, you don't want to be here. That's fine, but you can't take your parents to court. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can't take your parents to court because they needed to have a child.
Right.
They cannot consult with you. It's impossible. So that logic will not stand up in court.
I don't think it will. I
No,
think.
no, it must stand up in court right now because there is no law. But here is the thing that
But
the
then,
point of
but
this
Chris,
is that there are times when things are very unpopular, and it only takes one person to start a conversation, and sooner or later, that one person will put an idea out there that will have other people thinking the same way. And that is how you start a movement.
Yes,
and so other people now will start to follow in his step, because what he has done is plant a seed. And I am doing that.
no, so I am thinking, here is my take on it. There are children who have taken their parents to court for other reasons.
Mhm.
Right? We have seen that. Parents is not today children are taking their parents to court.
Right.
I'm saying this is the rule of law. And it is a law that you can't do anything about.
Yeah.
We were born to procreate.
Mm-hmm.
We were born to love. We came into a world that is just a broken
Imperfect.
world. It's imperfect, right?
Right.
Nothing you can do about that either. However, if this child is just now turning 27
Right.
and has just suddenly woke up and said, oh, I don't feel like being here, and would rather become a nuisance by, in our Jamaican parlance, we say just a ningy ningy, a needling parents. For what? Because we can discuss the fact that yes, you have other parents who they're not financially capable, right? But of course they keep having children. That discussion is sidebar because we understand that.
Right.
And invariably, do you find parents who are having multiple children where the children are saying they don't want to be here?
Right.
They go through the struggle of being here, of being with multiple siblings in one room. You can go down the list. But they are not going to call their parents, both they never want to be here. I think when people develop that kind
I'm
of
going to say something in support of what Chris said, okay?
Yeah.
And I do agree because it's a precedent, right? Whether it is or not, okay? He could be, both parents are lawyers, right? So the reason they're probably looking at this kid is saying this kid is very bright because that kid did it launching up his career. You know what I mean? Because for it to set the precedent, take parents to court. He might not have won it, but they will actually look at it. And it may be implemented in the legal system.
And that is a ploy of the enemy, if you ask me. These kinds of, I am telling you guys, that when this thought comes, whatever seed it wants to be called that is planted, man's desire going forward is to cut out procreation.
Right.
That is why they have, that is why I'm telling you.
Of the population, that's like that.
Yes, they would rather not marry, they would not rather not have children, they would rather have same-sex marriages, relationships, because the procreation piece of it is out of the loop.
And that is why I say he could very well that he's going to pick up speed, not now, but later on in the future. Because as you mentioned, same-sex. I mean, 50 years ago, if you were told somebody that men would be marrying men and women would be marrying women, they would tell you that you're crazy. And today, in the United States of America, it is the norm.
I just say that as a child of the 60s.
What?
It's an argument. Okay? And we're against having
Hold on a second, because I guess when you're both trying to interject, you're not hearing each other. Paul is saying that as a child of the 60s.
Okay, I can understand what the lady is saying. And remember, those things it's just a fact, right? Hippies of the 60s, they didn't believe in having more than one kid. Or they didn't want kids having children. It passed. So this thing about people suing or whatever, unless it becomes a legal precedent, it will fly like that.
Yes.
So there's no need to panic. I do say though, it's a stupid argument to make at the age of 27.
That's what I'm saying. Big 27, you're almost 30, and you just figure out that you want to sue your parents.
He's just figuring it out, He said he has always felt this way from he was 5 years old.
Yeah. Well,
he has always felt this way, that he did not want to be here. And I have done a poll, so to speak, and I've had people who agree with it, I've had quite a few people who have spoken to the topic.
All right.
I agree with
all right, I'm going to have to take this one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lady D. Yes, even those people that are marrying the same sex, they adopt a child.
Yeah, because you see, yeah.
They adopt a child, most of them.
Because that's by nature we are supposed to procreate. We're supposed to have children.
So why? Yeah, I mean, that guy is just a lazy brat.
Maybe no one work.
No want to work. I couldn't love my mother anymore. I loved my mother, and there were 6 of us. Well, I'm the baby, so I get all the little what they never get. But I love Mom. I love her dearly. I love her more than Dad. I love her. I wouldn't give her up for anything. Sometimes I still pause to wonder if she's gone.
Yes.
You know, I love her and I love my siblings because they show me love.
Yeah, but listen, I think we're getting a little bit confused here because the young man did not say that he doesn't love his mother or his father. You know, he said that he gets along with them very well.
None of us ever asked to be
Good
brought here.
relationship with his mother and his father.
And my mother had to share the love for someone else.
All right. You're not hearing each other. You're not hearing each other, so it sounds a bit confusing because you're both talking at the same time.
Okay, let me listen to Mr. Whilby.
Okay. All right. Chris,
I'm saying that it doesn't have anything to do with loving your mother or your father, because he stated clearly that he loves his parents. It's just a matter of he believes that he doesn't want to be here. He did not want to be here.
So
that's the issue.
My issue is that
he's
having
a problem. He's having a problem.
He's
having a problem. I have lived where people much less fortunate than myself, and those 2 parents try with those children, and all of them, and they don't. Oh, you were so parents and you won't want to be here.
Why not?
Why do you want to do it?
Why not? Why not?
Chris is playing devil's advocate.
God for life.
Chris is playing devil's advocate. We'll keep it moving.
Yeah, I know.
6:50. We only have 9 minutes to go.
Okay, let me say, nice having you again, Mr. Whilby, and Lady B, good program as usual.
Yes, my
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Did everybody know that February 11 is International Day of Women and Girls in Science? All right. This came out in the Jamaica Observer. And let me just quickly read through this headline for you. Good afternoon, Leroy. Raimi, how are you? In observance of International Day of Women and Girls in Science on February 11, which is today, the Ministry of Science and Technology will undertake a social media campaign to highlight the work of female scientists throughout its divisions and agencies. Chief Research Officer in the Ministry's Planning, Development and Evaluation Division, Zara Oliphant, says the campaign also aims to highlight the many options through which they contribute to national development. She says the ministry is designed to drive the science agenda of this country, and I think it is important that we as female practitioners of science know that we can play an important role in national development. Oliphant argues that female scientists are equally important, and from where I sit, I think it is a privileged position to research that affects national development. So, all right, females are going on with their agenda, and it's International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and there are quite a few scientists that have come out of Jamaica, female scientists, so congratulations. Keep doing what you're doing. Chris, what's your next headline?
No procreation there, right?
No. You make a choice in the career path.
I'm just going to hop on over to the United States here. Virginia official accused of rape will have to resign if allegations are true, says the governor. Hey, listen to this one now. Richmond, Virginia. Virginia's embattled governor insisted he would not resign over a racist yearbook photo, but said the state's lieutenant governor would have to step aside if sexual assault allegations against him were found to be true. In CBS interview to be broadcast on Monday, Governor Ralph Northam said he had learned from the controversy that erupted on February 1 when a rapist photo surfaced from his medical school yearbook, and that as a former pediatrician, he could help Virginians heal. Quote, "There's no better person to do that than a doctor. Virginia also needs someone who is strong, who has empathy, who has courage, who has a moral compass," end quote, Northam told CBS. This morning, co-host Gail King, and that's why I'm not going anywhere, he said.
All right, so the gentleman is standing his ground.
But he's at the same time he's saying that if allegations against his lieutenant is true,
yes,
he would have to resign.
Now, when you look at these things, sometimes you have people who are photographed in a drunken stupor. They are either being disorderly, somebody take a picture next to a noose. Some photograph of you somewhere when you were just not as conscious as to the effects that these things can have on you down the road. A lot of people were just simply dabbling in things. If somebody comes up to you and they're dressed in a KKK outfit and you are really, really against it, you're not going to want to have yourself photographed. Who going to want to take a photograph like that? You and I wouldn't be taking one. Somebody comes up with a noose and say, "Oh, Lady D, make we just hang this over your head and we take a picture." I'm going to say no. So sometimes it's either you're undergoing severe peer pressure or the wanting to fit in kind of thing to make yourself not appear to be the odd one. You end up trampling over your own, code of ethics and all kind of stuff, and then it comes back to bite you.
Yes.
For me,
yes.
If half of these people, if I do something wrong, and they say, I rather say, well, yes, I had done the thing when I was 12, and I guarantee you, if you make that open confession and say, yes, I did do this something, and you make an honest apology out of it, after that, it dies. But the more you hang on to it and say, no, 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 it's the more they dig, and the more they dig, and the more they will find. Because we like sensationalism, that's how things run here, so.
Yes.
We have 3 minutes, Chris. What else you have to say?
It's just, back in those days, I think every white person you can think of, they were either saying the N-word or they were doing black faces. And I said the other day, I said, well, what we need to do right now is to just acknowledge that these things used to happen and just move on. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I think that is probably the best way forward right now. And as you say, if this guy probably came out and said that, listen, I did it, it was stupid, it was a different time in my life when I used to probably think differently, or, I was young and stupid or whatever, people probably would have given him a chance to more than what they're trying to give him now.
That's what I think too. All right.
So I agree with you.
We have 2 minutes to go. Quite a heated afternoon. This is how we like it. When Chris and I are discussing the news, it's not just to back up each other and mirror. I bring my own perspective. I bring my own perspective. We have to throw the fireworks in it. And wrapping it up, Paul says, look beyond the surface. The handling of the sexual assault and the racial issue in Virginia could determine the handling of our president. All right, so we keep moving here. All right.
Thank you very much for that, Paul. And thanks to everyone who tuned in and who participated. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
Have a good day, Chris. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon here on Inside the Zone with Lady D Gomez. Linkage Radio 104.5, 101.7, Sign FM 88.9, 97.7, Fever FM. Brought to you by Cooler Runnings Jamaican Restaurant, 1802 Nareed Avenue in the Bronx. Have yourselves a great Monday, everybody. I don't know if it's going to snow tomorrow, but who knows about these things? We just have to hang in there and get ourselves prepared. As always, love yourselves, love your children, and remember in everything you do, it is the will of God concerning your life. Blessings. Mwah. I'm out of here.
Number one radio station. Number one radio station.
Thank you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward to having you this coming Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with Inside the Zone with Lady D, Denise Gomez. Where are you viewing me from today? I don't know, you have any leftovers from your Sunday dinner that you're going to go sit back, relax, and just heat up and enjoy with some good lemonade. I don't know, I'm Jamaican. I talk lemonade. I talk about drinks. Remember the days when we would have drinks? And drinks would be some Kool-Aid of sorts, something, you know. Enjoy your Monday. I got a lot of fun. You might not see that all the time. Blessings.